The afterlife is a tricky business, but especially throughout the Legend of Zelda series. It's not unusual for our green-clad hero to come across the undead during his adventures. In fact, the more I research, the more I realize just how many characters are not actually alive. I think of Poes, Stalfos, Blue Bubbles, Skull Kids, Gyros, Redeads, Gibdos... dead hands? Even bosses like Stalfos aren't exactly flesh and blood. Why do all of these versions of the undead exist? Where did Stalfos come from? Are Gibdos and Redeads the same? Why can Link talk to some Poes and others he can't? Using information provided in-game and a little speculation, I intend to answer these questions. So grab a candle and a snack, sit back, and enjoy this darker themed video. Stalfos are typically weak skeletal enemies who appear within dungeons and tombs. They are one of the most recurring enemies in The Legend of Zelda, and they also appear in several spin-offs and the animated series.
Nice hat! Ha! I'm back! Yeah!
Stalfos appear as early as the first game in the timeline. When targeting Stalfos, Fi comments, "This skeleton soldier is born of the dead. In its previous life, it was an ordinary knight, but on death has improved its combat abilities." From her words, we understand that Stalfos used to be knights in a previous life, until they died in battle. But how and when did they die? Since they already exist on the surface in Skyward Sword, they must have died sometime before the events of the game, leading me to believe that Stalfos were originally knights during the goddess Hylia's offensive against Demise. It's interesting to note that Breath of the Wild does not contain Stalfos. Yes, I know it contains Stalmoblins, Stalkoblins, and Stalnox, but those are all animal skeletons. Human skeletons are absent. Why? Because human soldiers weren't being used during the Calamity. Sheikah machines were. Since no knights were perishing in battle, Stalfos did not exist in that game. Redeads typically appear in ruinous places such as tombs or dungeons. They may stand idly in one place or remain crouched down in the fetal position. If Link runs near them, the monsters paralyze Link in place with a terrible gaze and attempt to strangle him. I'm sorry for the poor child who was led astray by the E for Everyone rating on Ocarina of Time. Surprisingly, the greatest clue to these creatures' origin came from a non-Zelda game. In Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, the caption for the Redead trophy states, "These creatures may look like zombies, but unlike the Walking Dead, Redeads have never been human. They just seem to be clay monsters fashioned in the shape of humans." According to this detail, Redeads were never alive at all. I guess that's why they're Redeads and not undeads. But the question remains, why would clay models of humans be found within Hyrule's crypts? For the answer, let's travel to Japan over 1,000 years ago. According to Japanese history, during the years 300 to 538 AD, human statues were sculpted from terracotta clay as part of a funeral ritual. These Hanawa figures were either buried alongside the deceased or arranged around tombs of high-ranking individuals. They were believed to guard the tombs or act as vessels for the souls of the dead. Though this connection may seem far-fetched, the idea of empty statues has actually come up within a Zelda game. In Majora's Mask, Link uses the Elegy of Emptiness to create statues of his deceased friends. Wow, this game seems darker when you talk about it aloud. The game's note for the song states, "By playing the song while wearing masks to assume different forms, you will be able to leave up to 4 empty shells, 1 for each form." Another mention of empty shells is made by Pamela's father when referring to the Garo. He calls them merely shells that are empty on the inside, emptiness cloaked in darkness. If ghost ninjas can be empty and possessed, why can't clay, a longer-lasting material, be indwelt after the body has turned to dust? These are by far the hardest creatures to understand. I see why Pamela's dad was so interested in unwrapping their secrets. The first problem I faced was understanding why burning away some Gibdo's bandages reveals either Stalfos or Redeads. If Redeads are actually just clay statues, why would they be wrapped in burial clothing? I decided to look at exactly where these creatures appear. It turns out that Majora's Mask is the only game where Gibdos and Redeads overlap. We could write off Majora's Mask as an outlier since the game takes place in the alternate universe Termina, but I wanted to dig deeper. I believe the answer lies with Pamela and her dad. In Majora's Mask, Pamela and her father live in a music box house in Icana Canyon. Pamela's dad, whose name is never provided to us, is a researcher of ghosts and spirits. Everything seems fine until his research leads him into a well. I even tried to go into that well once myself. Strangely enough, though, I don't remember anything that happened there. After his adventure in the well, Father begins to change. He starts transforming into a Gibdo himself, and his daughter locks him in the basement to keep him safe. For this emotional side quest, Link must play the Song of Healing to lift the father's curse and reunite him with his daughter. If Link speaks with the father after he is healed, he will give Link the most interesting clue about these creatures' origin. Are you curious about that picture? That is a mummified man. Its scientific name is Gibdo. A tale in Icana tells of a treasure that rests at the bottom of the well on the hilltop. It seems the spirits of those who became Gibdos upon entering the well in search of that treasure still linger inside. This side quest alone provides the information we need to crack the Gibdo secret. Here's what we learned. Gibdos form from a curse. The curse protects the mirror shield. Gibdos are friendly with their own kind. But the most jarring clue of all is that the curse can affect living people. Pamela's dad was still very alive during his transformation, and after Link plays the Song of Healing, he makes a full recovery. If it's possible for this curse to affect living people, is it really far-fetched to believe it could also affect non-living possessed claymations? After all, Father referred to them as the spirits of those who became Gibdos, implying that they were already in spirit form when they entered the well. But we're still left with one huge question. Why would possessed clay statues seek the well's treasure? When discussing Redeads, we fail to mention something that is about to become very important. In Ocarina of Time, Link can play a specific song to soothe the Redeads and allow him to pass by unharmed. That song is, drumroll, the Sun Song. Scribbled on the wall where Link learns the notes are these words. From sun to moon, moon to sun, give peaceful rest to the living dead. And later we read, restless souls wander where they don't belong. Bring them calm with the sun's song. This catchy little rhyme gives us 3 more important details. The souls that possess the clay are restless. They wander where they don't belong. One thing that soothes them is a song related to the sun. For centuries, people have believed that a bright light appears in a dying person's vision before passing on. Perhaps these restless spirits are wandering in search of heavenly light or eternal peace. And that's why the song that can control the sun brings them temporary ease from their restlessness. And what do we find hidden deep in the well in Icana? An item that also has the power to control light. And what do we find on the wall in the room where the treasure resides? A sun.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Link must use the mirror shield to reflect light onto the sun's face to awaken it and allow Link to depart the well. Sun emblems also decorate blocks that require light from the mirror shield. Do you believe these sun references are all coincidental? Or is there really a connection between the Gibdos and sunlight? To further press this point, each Gibdo within the well is searching for something to remove their remorse. Some want bombs, fish, or milk. One even wants a giant Poe for some reason. But what I believe they are truly looking for is peace. According to the ancient Japanese religion Shintoism, of all the deities, the most eminent is the goddess of the sun. Not only was she reverenced as the ruler of heaven, but she was also known to have a sacred mirror that embodied her presence. According to GiffordLecture.org, the material symbol or embodiment of the sun goddess is a mirror, sometimes called the 8-hand mirror or the sun-form mirror. It is treated with the greatest care and reverence, and is even spoken of as if it were the sun goddess herself. The female attendants of the imperial palace used to offer rice, fish, cakes, cloth, and so forth at every new moon to the sacred mirror which represented the goddess. Gibdos, restless spirits embodying clay statues, are searching for gifts to offer the sun goddess to be released from their remorse and enter the afterlife. And Link, after completing the scavenger hunt for each item, is able to wield the sun goddess's power through a mirror shield. Wow, who knew we had so much to unpack from a small portion of Majora's Mask? And we're not done yet. Poes are cloak spirits that haunt graveyards and other spooky locations. They carry lanterns that serve to contain each Poe's soul. Most Poes are enemies who will attack Link, but others act as guides or side quest characters. Those that attack are said to have become monsters due to a lingering attachment to the world of the living, according to the encyclopedia. If their attachment to the world is what keeps them among the living, perhaps the nature of that attachment determines the character of the Poe. This would explain why some Poes retain the ability to communicate, while others only attack. Anger and revenge have consumed the humanity those Poes once possessed. They no longer react intellectually, but instinctively. But are they really beyond hope? According to the Poe Collector, such might be the case. In Majora's Mask, he states, "You cannot heal all souls with that song," referring to the Song of Healing. His words imply that some souls are beyond saving. We see this sad state of affairs play out as Link collects Poe's souls and sells them for rupees. These once human souls have been dehumanized and reduced to pocket cash. Speaking of the Poe Collector, have you ever wondered who exactly he is? Well, he wears a long hood, has a glowing red eye, carries a cane, collects souls, and is happy for Ganon's reign because it's good for business. He even tells Link, "I can only hope the world gets even worse." With this in mind, I don't think it's far-fetched to consider him a devil figure. In fact, I believe that Flat was tricked by Skull Kid into selling his soul to this specific collector. If Link attempts to use the Song of Healing on Flat, he explains that the melody has a serenity to it, yet he laments, "To one of the dead in darkness, like myself, a song like that no longer holds meaning for me," confirming the Poe Collector's comment that the song cannot heal everyone. Yet, fortunately for Sharp, his brother Flat never gave up on him, and composed a beautiful song with magical properties. This song that causes rain to fall and thunder to rumble speaks to Sharp's soul and sets him free from his curse. To me, this will always be the most beautiful moment in any Zelda game. Perhaps my interpretation of this moment is what made my Song of Storms lyrics so popular. The pain that Flat must have felt to have lost his brother, and the agony Sharp endured as he held on to whatever humanity he had left. It sends chills through my heart. Next time you sell a Poe's soul for a few extra rupees, maybe you'll view the exchange a bit more soberly. We've covered a lot today, but we have only scratched the surface of the many mysteries surrounding dead Legend of Zelda characters. Heck, these were just a few of the more common enemies. What about dead characters that actually help Link? Such as Dampé's ghost from Ocarina of Time, Kamaro the Dancer from Majora's Mask, the Hero Shade from Twilight Princess, and even the straight-up just a ghost character from Link's Awakening. Clearly, there's a lot more in this topic to unpack. If you're interested in hearing more, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm eager to see what you think about my ideas. See ya!